By the year 1299, the world had learned one very simple, very bloody lesson: you do not fight the Mongols. You surrender, or you die. They had crushed China. They had burned Baghdad to the ground. They had dismantled the greatest armies of Europe. They were an unstoppable force of nature, a plague of arrows and horsemen that had never been truly halted. Until they reached India. Standing before the gates of Delhi was an army of 200,000 Mongols. They weren't there to trade. They were there to exterminate. The Sultan of Delhi was told by his own generals to run, to hide behind the walls, to pray. Instead, he did something suicidal. He opened the gates. And he used a secret tactical trick, a move so reckless, so insane, that it didn't just stop the Mongols. It terrified them. What happened at the Battle of Kili? And how did one man's refusal to follow the rules of war save an entire subcontinent from annihilation? To understand why this battle was so impossible, you have to understand the monster that was coming for Delhi. This wasn't a raiding party. This was the Chagatai Khanate. These were the descendants of Genghis Khan, and they had inherited his hunger for the world. Leading them was Kutluf Khwaja, a man who didn't just want loot, he wanted a crown. He wanted Delhi. For years, the Mongols had been testing India's defenses. Poking. Prodding. Raiding the borderlands of Punjab. But 1299 was different. Kutluf Khwaja ignored the border forts. He ignored the smaller cities. He rode his army hard and fast, straight for the throat. Imagine the panic. Refugees were pouring into Delhi by the thousands. The streets were choked with screaming civilians. Food prices skyrocketed. Water ran out. The air was thick with dust and terror. Everyone knew what the Mongols did to cities that resisted. They didn't just kill, they built pyramids out of human skulls. Inside the royal palace, the atmosphere was even worse. The Sultan, Alauddin Khalji, was a hard man. He was ruthless. He had murdered his own uncle to take the throne. But even his toughest advisors were shaking. One of his top counselors, a man named Alauddin, practically begged him on his knees, "Your Majesty, war with the Mongols is not like war with other humans. They are demons. We cannot meet them in the open field. We must lock the gates, destroy the supplies outside, and wait them out. We have to use the walls." It was the smart choice. It was the logical choice. It was the choice that had saved other cities in the past. But Alauddin looked at him and said something that changed history. He said, "If I hide behind these walls like a chicken, how can I call myself a king? If I run from this, my people will never respect me again." Alauddin made a decision that sounded like madness. He ordered the army to march out. Not to defend the walls, but to meet the Mongols head-on at the plains of Kili. This brings us to the battlefield of Kili. On one side, you have the Mongols. 200,000 horsemen. Masters of the feigned retreat. Masters of horse archery. They are loose, fluid, and deadly. They are expecting the Indians to be slow, heavy, and scared. On the other side, you have the Delhi army. They are massive, perhaps 300,000 strong, with 2,700 war elephants. Elephants against horses. It looks impressive, but the Mongols have destroyed elephant armies before. Elephants are big targets. Alauddin Khalji arranges his forces. He takes the center. His trusted generals take the flanks. But the key to this battle, the man who is about to ruin everything the Mongols planned, is stationed on the right wing. His name is Zafar Khan. Remember that name. Zafar Khan. He wasn't just a general, he was a legend. The Mongols actually knew who he was. In previous skirmishes, Zafar Khan had beaten them so badly that rumor had it, Mongol horses refused to drink water if Zafar Khan's name was mentioned. But there was a problem. A big one. Alauddin Khalji, the Sultan, didn't actually like Zafar Khan. In fact, he was jealous of him. Zafar Khan was too popular, too successful. Some historians say Alauddin secretly hoped Zafar Khan would die in this battle. He left him on the right wing with no promise of reinforcements. So, here's the setup: an army facing extinction, a sultan who hates his best general, and a Mongol horde that has never known defeat. The sun rises over Kili. The Mongols make their move. The battle begins in the usual Mongol way. They harass. They shoot arrows from a distance. They try to bait the heavy Indian cavalry into breaking formation. They wanted the Indians to charge foolishly, get tired, and then get surrounded. That is the classic Mongol trap. It worked in Russia. It worked in Hungary. But Zafar Khan didn't wait to be trapped. This is the moment. The secret Delhi trick. But it wasn't a formation. It wasn't a hidden weapon. The trick was pure, unadulterated aggression. Zafar Khan looked at the Mongol left wing facing him. He didn't wait for the Sultan's order. He didn't wait for the elephants to advance. He charged. And he didn't just charge, he launched a suicide run. He took his cavalry and smashed directly into the Mongol lines with such ferocity that the Mongols were stunned. You have to understand, usually, armies were terrified of the Mongols. They fought defensively. Zafar Khan fought like he was the predator and the Mongols were the prey. He broke their line. The Mongols, realizing they couldn't hold him, did what they always do: they turned and ran. This is the feigned retreat. They wanted to lure Zafar Khan away from the main army, surround him, and kill him. Zafar Khan knew it was a trap. He had to know. But he didn't care. He chased them. He chased them for miles. He chased them so far away from the main battlefield that he was completely cut off from the Sultan. The Sultan, Alauddin Khalji, watched his rival disappear into the dust. And he did nothing. He sent no reinforcements. He didn't send the elephants to help. He let Zafar Khan go. 18 kos. That's roughly 30 miles. That is how far Zafar Khan chased the Mongols. Finally, the Mongols stopped running. They realized Zafar Khan was alone. He had only a few thousand men left with him. The rest of the Delhi army was miles behind, staying safe in their formations. The Mongol commander, Kutluf Khwaja, saw his chance. He ordered an ambush. 20,000 fresh Mongol troopers emerged from the ravines and surrounded Zafar Khan's tiny force. This should have been the end. This should have been the part where they surrender. According to the chronicles, the Mongol commander was so impressed by Zafar Khan's bravery that he offered him a deal. He shouted, "Come with me. Join the Khan. I will make you greater than you are in Delhi." Zafar Khan's reply? He drew his sword. He said, "I know only one way to honor my king. And that is to die fighting you." What followed wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. But it was a slaughter that cost the Mongols dearly. Zafar Khan and his men fought like demons. Legends say Zafar Khan's horse was shot out from under him, so he fought on foot. He broke his sword, so he fought with a knife. He died. Every single man with him died. The Mongols had won the skirmish. They had killed the best general of India. They stood over Zafar Khan's body, victorious. But then, something strange happened. Night fell over the battlefield. The Sultan, Alauddin Khalji, was bracing for the next morning. He had lost his right wing. He had lost his best general. He expected the Mongols to launch a massive, all-out attack at dawn to finish the job. But when the sun rose, the horizon was empty. The Mongols were gone. Why? Why would an army of 200,000, led by the descendants of Genghis Khan, retreat when they were winning? This is the true trick. The Mongols had analyzed the fight with Zafar Khan. Yes, they had killed him. But the sheer violence, the absolute lack of fear, and the reckless aggression of that one general had shaken them to their core. The Mongol commander, Kutluf Khwaja, was reportedly wounded in the fight. But more importantly, the Mongol morale was broken. They looked at the Delhi army and thought, if one of their generals fights like that, what will happen if we fight the other 300,000? They had come for easy loot. They had come for conquest. They hadn't come to die by the thousands against madmen who refused to surrender. Zafar Khan's suicidal charge had convinced the Mongols that Delhi was not worth the price. Alauddin Khalji returned to Delhi as a savior. He had defended India. He had stopped the unstoppable force. But in the celebrations, there was a dark silence. Zafar Khan's name was whispered in the streets, not the Sultan's. Alauddin never acknowledged the sacrifice. He was glad his rival was gone. Yet, history remembers. The Battle of Kili proves that sometimes, tactics and formations aren't enough. Sometimes, to defeat a monster, you have to become something scarier. You have to show them that you are willing to go further, bleed more, and die harder than they are. The secret trick of Delhi wasn't a maneuver. It was the spirit of a man who looked the apocalypse in the eye and didn't blink. And that is why the Mongols ran. If you enjoyed this story of unsung heroes and epic battles, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And tell me in the comments, do you think the Sultan left Zafar Khan to die on purpose? Let me know below. See you in the next video.